Hello, YouTube. So here we go with one more Guppy tank update, and then I'll show you some other things as well. So I'm ecstatic today. I've replaced all my filters now with the filters I mentioned. They're absolutely great filters. And I'll tell you that they are a powerhouse. They have a little nozzle here with holes that pumps out huge amounts of water that it cycles through, and if you point it up, it actually does dual as a little bit of an air bubbler to get some air into the aquarium that way. As the water goes up and falls down, it creates some air bubbles that you can see, and that's pretty much for some small tanks all you need. But it is important to have an air bubbler. I keep an air bubbler and the filter in all my tanks. We'll move on here. Actually, before we move on, one of the small guppies that I showed you earlier, the one that was half purple, has moved to another tank, so I decided to breed him out if I can breed him with an interesting female I found for him. We'll see how that goes. So I did some moves, some major changes today. You'll see a little bit of debris floating in the aquariums. I literally just replaced all my filters with these new filters. And my fish are absolutely ecstatic. They love them. They love to swim in the fast water that comes out. They just, and these filters are, I can't say enough. They're cheap, they're great, and I'll show you guys another bonus of having that filter too in your 10-gallon tank or smaller. They don't go into bigger tanks. I do see bigger ones that they sell, but these are the little ones I have, the smallest ones that you can get. And so moving on, before I move on, you'll see a little fry fish in here as well. That's another black fry that I'm trying to grow out with them. As many pure black fry and fish that I can to kind of keep the black strain going. And I love these guys. There is a name for them. I don't know it right now, but they're black tuxedo guppies, and he has like this Japan red dot. I think maybe I have to look up the name. I don't want to make a name up. So that's the beauty about that black guppy. He has a nice red spot on his cheek, if we can see that in the light properly. I want to develop maybe that trait, but eventually I do want these to be pure black guppies. No silver, no silver black on these, just black, all black. So biggest change today, well, one of the bigger changes is this tank. This was my food tank. Now it looks like a disaster, but it's really a nice organic tank with plants that I will be making here. And as you can see in my previous videos, this plant is getting better. It's more greener now. It was in really bad shape when I got it, but it made it through. So I no longer have the minnows. I've given them up. They kept dying out on me. Same with the ghost shrimp. I've only left a couple here that are still in the tank. I think two. I see that they just disintegrate in the water. I don't know why. They just keep dying. Not very sturdy. You have to be really into a lot of moss and so forth for the shrimp, the ghost shrimp. Snails, however, are a different story. They love dirty tanks like this. They'll clean and eat everything. So they are doing great. Now I'm going to clean this tank up, and you'll see it getting better and better. However, the new residents of this tank are really nice guppies. I've got this really nice male here, and he's starting to get his colors back because I just replaced the filters. They're a little scared. Some of them have lost colors, but the female is also beautiful. She's got a pure black tail with a red sort of a ribbon edge on it. So, but that the rest of it actually is black. If he were to swim closer, you could see he's absolutely stunning. He's got a twin tail. He's really beautiful. Okay, well, another day when the water clears up, you'll see debris floating here. Let's keep going to another tank. This is the blue tank. Now, in this tank, every single tank has this new filter, and this is where I originally found the little fry, is in here. Now, I put these little decorations on purpose, right? And I put them in every tank on purpose if I can. Now, this is for the happenstance that I can't get to the female and separate her when she's going to breed. So the young ones will go here into hiding because they will eat their own young. So, and here's a little dark black fry fish that I got from my own guppies that I'm trying to introduce here to darken these guys up a little bit as they try to breed with each other. So it's actually, I think it's going to be, I can't really tell right now. I think it's a he. I'm pretty sure it's a he, but he's really cool. Originally just had the black tail, no other colors on him. So he's starting to get colors now. That's about the size when they start to show colors. So going down to this tank, last time in this tank you saw my yellow tiger guppy with a female. Now they have been moved. In this tank now is a red tail female with the purple guppy from the top tank, who is swimming somewheres. He's probably behind the covers right now, so I don't know where he's hiding. I just saw him. So I'm trying to breed her with him. It should be an interesting mix, as they are both unique, but not quite purebred. They're unique, but not purebred. Now she has a nice red back on her, as well as the tail is red and black and purple blue. So that should fit with him. He's hiding by the air bubbler down there. I'm not sure. But he's fine. He was just swimming. They do take a break once in a while. Now in this tank, last time you looked in here was the male orange guppy that I was trying to cure. Now he did not actually make it. He died the next afternoon. So now, before you start thinking, oh my, you're losing a lot of fish and so forth, that's because I went to a fish store that actually sold sick fish. I'm no longer going there. I moved to a different fish store, and I've replaced my filters. Everything's much cleaner now as well. So that is something you guys need to watch out for. You may have fish, you buy something somewhere, you start seeing your other fish all of a sudden start dying. You may not think it's anything, but then you buy another fish, it keeps going on. A good chance that you're buying sick fish, and they're infecting your fish. So these guys are all ecstatic, just like me, about playing in the nice, fast-paced water. And they're still scared because I literally replaced these filters, right? And they see me, they think I'm still gonna be doing some changes, right? So like this poor little guy is scared over there. So we'll move on to. Oh, before we move on, these two males are from the 5-gallon tank you saw in my other video. So they have moved in here now, and they have a new female as well. So that's the sad news, is I lost that one I was fighting to cure. But everything else has pretty much cured itself. Let me just get up and show you the other tank now. This is what I wanted to show you. This is my fry tank, and I keep the little cover for them so they can even hide from each other. Sometimes one gets bigger really fast and starts beating on the others, so you gotta watch that too when you have a fry tank. Now here they are playing, and they absolutely love the fast water, right? It gives them a rush. It bounces off the glass, goes down there, and creates a current for them, and they just go crazy. And I still have to remove the sponge there, but we'll pretend we didn't see that. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to mention is this filter is perfect for guppy fish or small fish that breed on you, because look at the bottom of the filter. I'm not sure if you can see, but at the bottom, I mean, where it suctions in right onto a sponge. So I no longer have to attach a sponge and watch it get dirty. I have a sponge. It goes directly on for the suction, right? And nothing, no little guy will swim up inside the filter, right? So it's basically a sponge with a powerful motor, sucks up the water and spits it out here, and all the dirt stays here, and all the big pieces get stuck to the bottom, right? So that's pretty much what you got to worry about, is clean the bottom of this and the sponge itself. They're absolutely great. Next tank, you can tell that you'll see, because of the water flow now, the actual there's some debris, but that's cleared up at the tank. The filter has cleaned most of it up. But you'll see this grass is really funky. You can get this little piece of it. I mean, literally, to show you, like a little piece of it, like that big. Put it in your tank, and it'll like grow out on its own, and it'll keep growing. It'll cover the top of the aquarium. If you know, it's a great cover for little guys. That little fry from these guppies. It's a great. They love it. And here in this aquarium, until it gets bigger, it'll just keep spinning in the middle. So you can see these guys. I was curing this tank the other day, and look how happy everybody is today. So it did work. I did get rid of the ick or whatever that I brought in from the fish store, even though I took a lot of precautions. I mean, somehow one fish infected another, and in little tanks it's extremely quick, right? So I did save everybody here, and she may still have a little tiny dot somewhere, but she's pretty much healthy, and look how happy she is to see me, and she's happy she got a new filter. So same with this female. She was like looking so terrible, and now you can see her tail, her green tail, and all it took was a filter change. I mean, you guys out there don't think changing your filter to a better filter does anything? Well, have a look. I mean, this fish was not doing well. Neither was this fish. I mean, not just because they put a little bit of medicine in here. I mean, the change in water flow alone has increased their activity and happiness, right? So the little guy with the yellow tail, is growing in, colors are coming in, he's going to be breeding with these guys. So like I said, I want to breed this nice green yellow color with a nice black tuxedo and a nice yellow green colored tail on these, on the male. That should look like this, except a nice full green yellowy looking tail. And you can see she absolutely loves her tank now, and she's so happy, so healthy. So change your filters if you guys need to. Make sure you got a good filter that you are happy with. I do not look at prices. I look at functionality. And I'm not really trying to advertise, but you can tell for yourself, you know, what a smile you can put on little fish, and that's something worth looking into, right? Now this tank, this is my tiger guppy. He wasn't doing that great the other day either, so he was moved right away from the other tank because I wasn't sure if it was the airflow or if it was some sort of a disease, right? And they're happy, they're healthy here. He moved with his female that he was given or assigned at this time. So he's in this 5-gallon tank, and that's plenty of room for them to play around in. Now, she's kind of a black, yellowy female, which is really cool. It fits in really well with him. So they fit together very well. Now, going back, I'll show you guys these dividers have airflow holes in them, and so that water can circulate. Now, that does seem to work, but before I got these filters that double as air bubblers, I'm not sure if there was enough air coming through, because I had my bubbler in the corner where they are right now, far away from the divider, and my other filter didn't really do much for air, for water circulation, not as much as this does. So the other day, before I replaced the filter, I moved the air bubbler as close as I can to the divider, thinking that there wasn't any air coming through, so that you can see that there's no bubbles coming through, even though it's sitting right on it, right? So one of these things you gotta watch out with these dividers. Not saying that it's a fault, but it's by some coincidence, these are the two tanks that these fish were having issues with, but you know, don't want to blame it on the bubbler, but I took care of that. I put it right on it, and you know, got a nice filter with good water flow. Now, I recommend that that you guys really watch every detail, because that's all it really took, is just to make sure there is enough airflow, and I mean enough air in the tank and enough water flow, right, to make these fish happy. So I never actually kept guppies in small tiny tanks that are 10 gallons. I usually keep them in big tanks. So now we have all learned that this is probably the best way to do it, is make sure you've got your air and a good filter. Now, in my angelfish, they're still not breeding yet, but they are very comfortable with their tank, and I think they're kind of looking at me like, where's the other fish? You know, we're here by ourselves, you know. And what I've done is I've added these guys today, and They are fabulously calm fish, and they are my friends for a long time now. Now, these guys, I recommend them with almost any tank except for cichlids. Don't put them in with cichlids. They're gentle fish. They need to be with tetras, guppies, swordfish, that kind of mollies, those kinds of fish. Um, they are very beautiful to look at, very calm. Right now, they're new, so they're just sitting in one place, but eventually they'll just kind of swim around. So, they're calm, and these guys need something to chase once in a while to kind of give them protective instincts. So that's why they're in here now. And as I mentioned, their natural tank now has this beautiful set of guppies that I will try and grow out. So that's all the bad news and good news all rolled into one as far as my guppy update. Let's move to the other side and see the other disaster turning into something good, which is not Benjamin's tank. Benjamin's tank is done. Let's go over there. And Benjamin's tank is actually looking really good. Benjamin's tank, what I've done is I've added a little bit more. Tree stumps and opened it up quite a bit more, and that will give my flower horn more room as he grows, and him and Benjamin, they don't have to fight over a little bit of water in the middle. They have a little bit here, and I noticed that the flower horn really loves to swim into holes, look for food everywhere. He is hungry 24/7. I'm absolutely hungry. Now, the other good news for this tank is when I was moving in the 2-branch stumps that I'm showing you right here, like this guy right there. Oh, look at Benjamin, perfect shot. And this branch right there. So these are all decorations, I had to purchase, right? You guys said not just ripping out tree stumps somewhere. I found the knife fish that I originally mentioned in my original videos that jumped out or something. I found the knife fish. The knife fish is alive, doing well, as well as there are still some small clown loaches in here also, but they seem to be living in these decorations, so I can't really show you guys the clown fish, the clown knife fish, or the clown loach that I have. So let's go back to this tank now. Max has built himself a little home. Technically, I've put this here to cover the filter because he keeps going into the filter. He's protecting his little. And keeps playing with it, which I don't mind. Eventually, I'll just leave it as a dummy filter while I get my canister for this aquarium. So for now, that is fine. But that's not what I'm getting at. Now, in this tank, what I've done, I've just turned the light off so we wouldn't have a glare. But what I've done in this tank is the water is extremely bad. I'm still curing the tank, right? So still making sure everything's good. Now, I've added sand to this tank. Now, this is really nice, really expensive sand I had purchased originally when I was doing a saltwater aquarium a long time ago. So the saltwater aquarium, I'll tell you a story about that might turn you off saltwater fish. and save you some money. But you do not want to try salt water unless you are an expert. And believe me, I've tried, and I am no expert because what happened in my saltwater tank originally was everything was fine. Let me just show you something to look at while I tell you the story. So everything was fine in my saltwater tank until I've purchased. You always buy live rocks for your saltwater aquarium. Now, for some reason, they have to be treated so that there's no bacteria and so on. Now, somehow, a fish died. A little fish that I purchased died and fell into the live rock. Now, I have no idea where it fell, and it's so easy to do because all these live rocks, they sort of look like this rock, except they have a ton of these little holes everywhere. And what happens is if a fish falls in there somewhere, you don't see it, and it kind of there's a ton of microscopic things that happen, and some kind of little worms developed out of it. Now, I don't know. It just kept spreading and spreading, and the thing was disgusting. I could not get rid of it no matter what I tried. It made my whole saltwater fish experience absolutely terrifying to go back to. So I am just happy to do everything I can to have beautiful freshwater fish. Maybe I'll try another day with saltwater fish another time. But even when you think you know everything, and my dad is quite a fish expert, even with him helping me, there's nothing I was able to do. It was just too many, like it was an invasion, an infestation. I literally had nightmares going to bed. It's one of the most gross and disgusting things I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that in fresh water. But in saltwater tanks, be careful. I mean, if anybody out there knows how to get rid of like a massive infestation, you don't even, I mean, I've had all kinds of crabs there, everything, and they couldn't keep up with eating these worms. It just got, I mean, I tried taking the rocks out into hot water. I mean, literally just about killed my reef, and the things just kept coming. Okay, so that's the bad news about that. So the only thing I have left from the saltwater aquarium I had is this sand that's been sitting here for actually a couple of years, I think. And I definitely cured this sand. There's like, it's crystal clear and clean. There's nothing that remains, no, like salt wise, nothing. So that's what's going on. I did a stupid mistake, and I'm admitting to that mistake right now. What I've done is I've put in the water first, and the sand I put in after, which is not something you do. It cloudies up your whole tank, it dirties up the filter, but it'll just take me another couple weeks longer to get this thing ready. So those are things you will notice. And to add to this sad story of a tank right now, what's happened is I've had this tank for a while, a couple days. It's been sitting fine, no problems. Water's been in it. I've added the sand the other day, and guess what? I go to work, everything looks fine. When I come back, I see a small, tiny water puddle. I guess the weight of the sand has somehow created a leak in this tank, which nobody anticipated. Now, when these stands are built, they're really cheap, you know? And what happens is you drop any water on this stand and you don't clean it. Like I was at work and this little puddle happened here at the top, and it just swells up, and that's it. That's the damage, right? So be careful with, like, you can see I've had this, and my dad's had this other stand for Benjamin's tank, and there's absolutely no damage whatsoever. So I mean, it really depends on an actual accident, right? When it happens, you're not there to clean up the water from your stand. If you drip anything on it, and damage happens. Now I didn't drip anything on it, but from the sand, I think at the very bottom there's a tiny leak somewhere. Now I've been looking to see if it was a one-time thing, because I may have overflowed the water. It was way too much water when I put the sand in, and it was really late last night, and I did not want to take the water out a bit. So that may have contributed to this, but there was still quite a bit of room left from the top, right? And I didn't see any leaks on any glass, and I watched it for a while before I went to sleep yesterday. and there was no leaks. Now you come home and you see a leak and damage, and it's like, oh my god, the tank is leaking. But after taking my time drying it out, let me just show you. I have a little flashlight here, so let me just show you. There's a really narrow gap, and there's the tiniest bit of water that just over the whole day gathered up on the top of this corner here. And I am not sure how that water got there. I haven't seen any more water. I did lower the water a little bit just to see if it's the weight or if it's somehow dripping through from the top black canopy, and that seems to have worked. I don't see absolutely any more water coming through. So that's my experience so far. I know that to some experts this may sound ridiculous, but in fact it is all absolutely it needs to be on a video. People need to know every little thing that happens as you go along, and as you build up your tank and your experience, right? Even though I've done this a million times before, little things happen. You bring a sick fish. You happen to be buying from a store that has ick in one of their tanks, and it sort of is invisible on the other tanks. But today I did find one tank there that it was pretty visible that's where I was getting the ick from, because a lot of their fish looked really bad. So important, trust where you're getting your fish from. I mean, they do their best, right? So even they do. Everybody does. All the fish stores do regular maintenance. I've bought a ton of really good products from all of these fish stores. I recommend every single fish store out there. I have nothing bad to say about any fish store. We need more fish stores, because we need more hobbyists out there, more people with aquariums. I think, everybody should have a pet fish, But hopefully that was a little bit of info that you got out of this video. And you can see Benjamin is really enjoying his new surroundings. And just because, let me shut the light off there. Oh, and don't worry, my tester fish is fine. She is alive. She's doing well. I actually got her a male partner, another sword male fish, and he is doing fine. So do not worry about that. I'll show you that in another video. But yeah, I'm looking for the clownfish, and he is just not coming out. And the reason for that is Benjamin does not like him. For some reason, he keeps chasing him. He does not like the clownfish, which is a bit of a relief to poor Chico here, who has been chased by Benjamin constantly before the knife fish showed up. So, as you can see, he's very temperamental. For some reason, certain fish, he needs to let them know who's boss. And another little update on my nice little green terror. He's coming along just fine. He's growing quite quick. And there's my jewel cichlids right there. They look beautiful as ever. Now, and my flower horn wants to be in the video too. So say hello and goodbye. This is Marbles, along with Benjamin and Zulu, saying goodbye. See you next time.